Operation Downfall was the planned invasion of the Japanese mainland during the final years of World War II. World War II had many turning points, such as the United States joining the war, Hitler's decision to attack Russia, and the use of nuclear warheads. What would happen if those nuclear warheads weren't available? Well, then Operation Downfall would have happened. Operation Downfall was separated into two major parts, Operation Coronet and Operation Olympic. Operation Olympic would happen first, and the American troops would have to invade Kaishu, the southern part of Japan. The American troops would then set up air bases around the island. Later that year, Operation Coronet would commence, which would attack the part of Japan where Tokyo was located. The air bases that were set up on Kaishu from Operation Olympic would then supply air support. Whereas the Americans had an intricate invasion plan, the Japanese had a ruthless and brutal defense. With so little beaches that could be used as actual landing points, the Japanese were able to accurately guess which beach the Americans had chosen to land on. They moved all their soldiers in order to defend that single point. The Japanese would send out 300 to 400 kamikaze pilots every hour. They had invented a new plane called an Oka that was similar to the German V-1. It was a rocket-propelled bomb driven by a suicide pilot. Before the kamikaze pilots attacked, though, thousands of pilots would launch to attempt to control the air above Kaishu. This would draw the fire of the American fleet, allowing the kamikazes to get through and hit the troop carriers. The Japanese also had suicide spider holes that troops would hide in. These troops would jump out and engage the American forces as they passed by. In the heat of battle, Japanese soldiers would cut radio lines, speak English to call off artillery fire, and wear American uniforms to confuse the American forces. The loss of life that would occur during these two operations would be massive. There was an estimated 14 million casualties of both American and Japanese troops. 10 million of these were estimated to be just Japanese, showing how ruthless the Japanese planned to be. The battle would be fought as prairie dog warfare. This kind of warfare was a type where men fought and died for yards, feet, or even inches. This kind of warfare was done all over by the Japanese and was seen on islands all over the Pacific, such as Iwo Jima and Okinawa. The loss of life and destruction isn't even the scariest part, though. While the American and Japanese forces were locked in thick warfare in Kaishu, what stopped the Communist Russian army from invading the northern half of Japan? Nothing. Japan could have been divided today just like Korea. This means that by Operation Downfall being locked away in the national archives instead of in history books, not only were millions of lives saved, but the country of Japan is not separated into a northern and southern part. Operation Downfall would have numerous short-term effects. The most obvious would be the loss of life. Another one would be the invasion of northern Japan by Russia. Operation Downfall would have also had economic and geopolitical short-term effects. Economically, there would be a shortage on gas, food, and other materials needed and used in the war. Geopolitically, it would have altered the perception of the United States. Had the United States invaded Japan and left soldiers in it for decades, the United States would then have been seen as an aggressive nation that would want to take over the world instead of just trying to establish. Operation Downfall would also have long-term effects. There would be an economic boom with a significant increase of jobs, income, and resources that just weren't there before. Also, building off of the geopolitical short-term effect, other countries would be more wary in trading or joining forces with the United States in fear of the United States' aggression. So although Operation Downfall had some positive effects, the majority were negative. It is better that Operation Downfall is merely in the National Archives instead of being in actual history books.